I did a community post today asking people what time, when I do live streams, would be the best time for me to do it. So I'm going to go and check what the results of that are now. But I'm doing one a bit later this evening just for people in different time zones. But I'm going to have a look at the results so far of that poll. Even I'm going to obviously leave it on for a few days to see with that poll, like what the results are for various, sort of people saying what time zone. So don't forget to vote in that if you haven't voted in that, because it's useful for me. Because obviously the problem when I do a live stream is depending on what time zone you're in, you may or may not get a chance to see it. So I'm just going to also change the setting on here, however I do it. Because again, they keep changing the interface, which is really annoying for when you're trying to actually do stuff on it. Is it this bit I edit? It's this bit, is it? Yeah, so subscribers, once you've been subscribed for 5 minutes, you can comment. There we go. I'll just put that. I didn't actually go to London, Peach. It was just a joke video. But yeah, if I went to London, I think the other thing, I'd have to have my phone on like a proper anchor style chain attached to myself, so somebody can't just snatch it off me. But yeah, that was just a bit of a parody video because now and again people like those. So right, I'm just going to go on my channel and see if I can just click posts there. So let's click the post and see if I can see the results for it. So I said, what's the best time in GMT, so Greenwich Mean Time, for most of my subscribers to watch a live stream? Has 37 votes, 12 midday 32%, 5 p.m. early evening 30%, 9 p.m. evening 38%. So far in the lead, it's slightly 9 p.m. and then it's basically neck and neck with 12 midday and 9 p.m. evening. But what I'll do is, like I said, leave that to run a few days, and if obviously it ends up being like 33, 33, 33 with all of the results, then I'll just, basically do the, streams different times each day. Somebody says they're Mr. Blackadder. Oh, no. You're not Mr. Blackadder, something else. You are a what? Oh, have you changed your username? Yeah, all right, Kevin. Like I said, I'm doing it slightly later today for people in different time zones, and I did a poll on the channel for people in, different time zones, so they can vote on what's the best time zone for them. But like I was saying, if it ends up being that the results are really, really close on all the times, then I'll just do the streams at different times every now and then for people in different time zones. But because earlier on today, I think it was massively ahead for 12 midday, and now it's not as far ahead, and it's probably because as people, are about later in the day, they're voting for the ones later in the day. So it wouldn't surprise me if overnight I get a load more that say 9 p.m. because I imagine most people in the US would vote 9 p.m. because if you're on West or East Coast time, that would probably be the best time for me to stream for those people, especially West Coast time, Pacific time, I imagine. Because yeah, let me have a look. Pacific time now. So yeah, it's 12:07 Pacific time now. So yeah, I imagine people in Pacific time, sort of West Coast, definitely wouldn't want me streaming before 9 p.m. But yeah, like I said, I've just got that as like one of those things for seeing what people say. Because like I said, I've got a bit more freedom now when I can and can't, when I can choose to stream like that, because I'm not, I haven't got a work schedule. I'm volunteering tomorrow because I still want to do charity volunteering, even if I'm not doing my proper job. But, like I said, I'm not actually, you're reloading. Again, we have to be careful what we say about stuff like that on here, don't we? Because of their policies, but you're reloading some Nagant ammo, basically, yeah. Somebody's spamming banana. Again, if people keep spamming, I'll just get rid of them, but it's hard to tell because somebody said they are Mr. Whatever, and then the other things commenting they said they were. Although we did have that weirdo on the stream yesterday that he inspired me to do a video. So I have made a video about this because he's not the first person to do it. But where somebody admits to doing something illegal, you remove their comment and basically politely tell them it's probably not a good idea to admit to doing illegal stuff online where, you know, it's going to be kept as a record. And then he had a go at me and started insulting me for hiding his comment to, you know, try and protect him from, you know, getting himself into trouble. So, yeah, in the end, I ended up blocking him because he was being a dickhead. And then he kept coming back with different accounts to have a go at me. And again, if somebody has multiple accounts that they can immediately log on to start having a go at you for blocking another account, it generally shows that they're not there to actually have a proper discussion in the first place. But yeah, just a word to the wise for people. If you're doing something that's legally questionable, don't post about it online where the authorities can see that you're doing it. And then if somebody does delete that thing to help you so you don't get in trouble, don't blame the person that's being, you know, helping you out by, you know, saying, oh, I'll delete that because that isn't something you should admit to in public, you know, kind of thing. But whatever. Some people I don't think can be helped when it comes to that sort of stuff. And again, their response was that they had a VPN, so it was fine. And that's not what a VPN does. You know, a VPN is not going to protect you from physically getting into trouble with the police. A VPN is just going to protect you if it's a good quality VPN at getting access to stuff that's outside your country that's like region locked and not keeping records of what you've been searching for through the VPN. But it doesn't mean your ISP still can't have logs of what you've done. You know, it doesn't mean that, like I said, if you've actually physically done something illegal, like if you admit to possessing, you know, something that's against the law in said country, that if the police then look at your stuff and find the thing, it's not like you can say, wow, the evidence is inadmissible because I admitted to doing it through a VPN. That's not how real life works. So, yeah. Anyway, we'll see if we get people on, because again, I know this is a later time for a stream today. Don't forget to like the stream, everybody. Apparently, there's more people that have liked the stream than the viewing right now, so I suppose that's good in a way, but it'd be good to get some more comments. But like I said, I have set it to you have to be subscribed for 5 minutes to just stop the people that make accounts, you know, to cause a issue. Then come back. Yeah, I know what you mean by the spam cans, the one you have to open with a can opener, because I did see Ukrainian troops being amazed at how good NATO like ammo cans were in comparison to those, you know, when they were reloading their AKs, where a NATO ammo can, you know, you just open the thing and all the ammo's in there, where like the old commie block ones, yeah, you have to use like a manual can opener type thing to peel back the metal, and then they're like all wrapped in kind of like tissue papery type stuff, or like little cardboard boxes, aren't they, inside? And then apparently with the Soviets, they only provide the can openers per a certain amount of cans. And normally you'd blunt the can opener before you'd actually finish opening the amount of cans each one was designated to open. You know, like a proper communist planned economy. You know, we will only provide you one can opener per 3 cans, but each can opener will only last 1 can before it breaks, kind of thing. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean with those like big rectangle metal ones that you have to manually open, yeah. And then I know exactly what you mean by that. But yeah, with the rounds, like I know people are really keen on reloading, are like obviously the really kind of old rounds, aren't they? Like not even 7.62 54R, like you're saying is cheaper now, but like you know, the Martini Henrys and stuff like that, that rounds that, you know, would be so expensive if anybody still produces them, that it definitely makes sense to reload them. Yeah, exactly. Apparently that was one of the things people did use the bayonets for, and like some of the other utility knives was, yeah, because of the fact that they provided you what was meant to be the right tool to open it, and then, yeah, they weren't strong enough to do enough cans for opening them, but yeah. And then, like, yeah, then you know, a magical NATO tin, it's got a rubber seal around the top and it's got the 2 clasps, and you just open it like that, and then you can get it all around. And they stack on top of each other really well as well, where I don't know if those Soviet cans actually stack properly or not, or if they're ones that are slightly the wrong shape to stack. Because with the NATO ones, the lid is on purposely shaped in a way that you can stack them up like that, and they're stable. Unknown technology. I know the Soviet ones certainly didn't come on a pallet, because pallet is still unknown technology to Russians. Like forklifts and pallets are things they don't understand. Can I wear a gas mask? I'll put one on briefly, but this room is really hot at the moment, so I don't want to wear one for long. because of the fact the PC's been on all day, the heating's currently on, and, you know, it's an enclosed room, so the temperature's just built up all day at the moment, rather than, you know. There we go. So there is the Shum 2012. Sort of works with his helmet. There you go. So I've done that just for you, Min. I'll wear it for a little bit, but because it's harder for people to hear me when I've got this on, and I'm going to obviously get even hotter wearing this, you know, I won't keep it on all that long. Yeah, we've got, but like I was saying, yeah, you actually make it sound better like that. What is my favourite gas mask? Out of all the ones I've got, the C50 is the one I've got set up to actually use if anything goes down. But I also really like the CT12 and FM12. But they're not my favourite, I just really like them. The CT12 probably used to be my favourite up until I got the C50. But yeah, with this guy yesterday, it wasn't even here's things I'm planned. It's here's things I've currently got that I can't legally own, sort of thing. And then I deleted his comment to yeah, I'll take this one off. But yeah, certain masks are more comfortable than others, and yeah, basically, in general, you want the masks that are more comfortable to wear. You can wear longer without them, you know, being you know, annoying. Yeah, I've got some Mark 19 cans, funnily enough. I just use them for storage. I think they're Mark 19 cans I've got there. If not, the ones over there are definitely Mark 19 cans. I've got a load of Geiger counters in. But yeah. Let me just check which ones are the 40mm ones, because the others might be 50 cal cans, actually. I know that they're basically the same cans, just on a different scale. No, actually, I think the ones there are my 40mm. I think the ones on the far wall are 20mm ammo cans that are even bigger than the 40mm. You wouldn't think so with the name, but I think it's because the 20mm ones are probably for like some sort. I know the Bradley's 25mm, so it wouldn't be the Bradley, but it's obviously some sort of chain gun ammo. The 20mm one. So yeah, the 20mm is like the same, basically the same width of the 40mm, but even taller. Right, anyway, let me go back to the comments on the full screen and put my glasses on so I can read them properly. Because, like I said, the annoying thing is when I take my glasses off, then the chat becomes very hard to read. I don't know. Who's the other English gas mask guy? I don't know who the other one is. But yeah, ammo cans are great. As long as they're not rusty, they are just really nice for storing stuff in. Because, again, they stack well. You know, they keep your stuff dry if you've got the lid on with the rubber seals. When you say the scuba video, Overlander, do you mean the one that was with that Polish one? I do somewhere, but I have no clue where they are at the moment. Ah, right, Kevin, yeah, so like helicopter chain gun, yeah. What, the Romanian M76? Yeah, it's fairly good. Oh, no, wait, no, it's the Romanian M74, isn't it? Let me search M76 gas mask. Oh, is that the Romanian one? No, sorry, the Hungarian one. The one that isn't very good, but kind of looks like a German World War II mask. Yeah, if so, awful mask in terms of protection, but looks cool. Can I wear it? Well, we were still having a conversation just then until I took it off. If both people with gas masks on have voice diaphragms on or radios connected to their mask, you can have a conversation absolutely fine. If the worst situation is if multiple people had gas masks on without a voice diaphragm, so it's you know, like pyro sounding noises because of how muffled it is. But yeah, as long as each of the people with a gas mask on has a decent voice diaphragm on the mask and they're close enough to each other, you can hear each other fine. And obviously lots of the modern masks are designed that radio comms equipment can connect to the mask. So you can actually hear people through headsets and things, you know, really clearly, and they can transmit over radios, you know, so they're not trying to hold a phone up or whatever to the mask, or a radio handset up to the mask. They're just like, you know, got a flick on, flick off switch, which is obviously way, way more efficient for comms if you're having to use masks and people trying to shout instructions. Again, like, I imagine using field telephones back in the day when masks didn't have voice diaphragms would have been pretty awful, in terms of, you know, like trying to hold it up where you could hear it and get your voice heard and being really muffled, especially because in World War II there wasn't the NATO phonetic alphabet. Again, the US and the UK in World War II did have a phonetic alphabet, but it wasn't the NATO one. And if you watch videos on the development of the NATO phonetic alphabet, it's quite interesting, hence why certain words became, you know, certain words, because it was ones that people in multiple countries could hear the words and understand them and pronounce them properly, even if, you know, like English wasn't their first language or whatever. Whereas certain words they found, you know, the problem was if you tried to pronounce it with an accent from certain countries, other people wouldn't know what word you were saying, or that the word, if there was lots of radio static or something, you know, on a phone line or a radio, and somebody was trying to say certain like older phonetic alphabet words, people would mishear them as other words. So that was quite interesting. I said that was like a half-an-hour video I watched at one point on the development of like the NATO phonetic alphabet based off of the World War II phonetic alphabets, and like words they had to change because they trialed them and found that, you know, like the interesting one I think was if there was Spanish speakers and it was like Juliet, well, before Juliet, whichever one they had before Juliet, you know, because they'd say like Jose rather than like, you know, it's spelled like Jose, but they'd say Jose. And it was one of the words like that they would pronounce it like that. Whereas I think Juliet, even a Spanish speaker will pronounce Juliet. They don't say Juliet. So it was, again, like the NATO alphabet's quite interesting for that reason. Like every word is quite cleverly, you know, done so that people, regardless of accent and like pronunciations with J's and Y's and things like that, and H's, because various, you know, languages pronounce those. Because again, in like German, a J is a Y, like Junkers is actually Junkers in German, for example. Like Jugend is, yeah, like Jungen, like the Hitler Jugend was like the Hitler Jugend. So it's stuff like that, which is quite interesting. I always just find that quite interesting with the phonetic alphabets, that, yeah, they had to come up with specifically with words that even if people didn't pronounce them as the proper, you know, like English stuff, they could find words where they'd be forced to pronounce it in a way that people would understand it. That's interesting, Kevin. There's also like, didn't they use some of the Native Americans like languages as well to encrypt stuff? Because essentially the Japanese had no way of breaking down like some of the Native American like language stuff to understand it. I don't know how much of that is like an embellished, because I think there's a Nicolas Cage film about that, isn't there? I've probably got on DVD somewhere. So I don't know how much of that is like embellished, but I think that was actually a thing, that because some of the Native American languages were so unique, you could get them to sort of translate stuff to that. And even if the Japs broke the code, they couldn't understand, they couldn't translate what was being said, because of like, you know, how unique a language it was. Whereas obviously if you just have a common language, you can quite easily get somebody that can translate said language, you know, if you've got a language expert. Because interestingly, prior to World War II, the Poles had already broken, not the Enigma machine, but I think, was it Lorenz, the other one the Germans had? The Poles had already broken the code to the Lorenz, and that's where a lot of the Bletchley Park stuff that Turing like worked with originally came from, was like the Poles breaking the initial bit of the German codes. Because weirdly, I think Lorenz was more encrypted, but it was actually the one that got broken first, because it, you know, because I think they never rotated the disks or whatever on it, so it was one that went through more Navajo code talkers, yeah. But yeah, like if I remember right, anyway, I think it was the Lorenz machine, even though it might have been capable of better encryption, because it was all the like the party members and high command that used it. They were too lazy to ever change the disks or whatever to scramble the code. So it was one that in theory got broken a lot quicker, because it wasn't like the codes are being changed around. And I think that was one as well they could break the code on quite easily, because I think all of them were signed off Heil Hitler at the end of all of the codes. So they always had the HH, which they knew how to translate at the bottom of each of the like messages, which again was a thing that made it really easy to break the code, because they kept like, you know, always would sign off with that. So you could always, you know, work out if you'd broken the code correctly based on if you could get like the Heil Hitler to translate properly at the bottom. Don't have one handy, Overlander. I have an M15 and I have a 4A1, but I don't know where they are at the moment. They're somewhere in deep storage, probably in a box that's sealed up in a pile of boxes, like where we were on about the ammo cans earlier. Because the closest I have to say like the Israeli M15 is this one here. The Romanian M74. That's the closest thing I've got to the M15, because again, they're both Draeger M65 copies. And again, I don't think... Oop, that's caught in my hair. I need to cut my hair again soon. I'll probably do that straight after Christmas. But that helmet doesn't sit as well on this one. But yeah, I can't remember if this actually has a proper voice diaphragm. No, it doesn't. So you're going to struggle to hear me a bit with this one, because it's just got the exhale valve with that cover on this one. Because that's the cool thing, at least with the Israeli M15, is it does have a proper voice diaphragm. Whereas this one, like a Draeger M65, just has the exhale valve with this little cover. So yeah. But the straps certainly aren't comfortable now. I've got a bit of hair because my hair's getting caught in these. So yeah, sadly, although I have a 4A1, as said, and I have an M15, I have no clue where they currently are. I like the colour of this mask because of the fact it's actually kind of like a military-style colour. And one of the only other green masks I have is the Yugoslav M1 and M2. And obviously the Yugoslav M1 is the mask that's known to melt because of the weird rubber it's made from. But yeah, there you go. I'm going to take that off because, like I said, the annoying thing at the moment is this room is stupidly warm. Yeah, this room is stupidly warm, so I will take that off. And I think there's still a bit of the stuff that they used to store in this. Yeah, there is. There's still a bit of polystyrene in there, so I don't want to get that in my mouth. Because annoyingly, because I got this and essentially it was unissued, the mask had loads of polystyrene in bits of it so it would keep its shape. But the polystyrene was so brittle that you couldn't take it out as like one lump. So as soon as I started taking the polystyrene out, it like broke into tiny, tiny bits of polystyrene. There's still a couple of little bits that are wedged in there. But if you breathe hard enough, the polystyrene comes loose and into your mouth or nose. So, yeah, that's a bit annoying, but I'm trying to actually think now, does the Czech CM4 have a voice diaphragm? I'm just going to check and look that up. I'm going to check the Czech mask. Czech CM4 gas mask. Yeah, it does have a voice diaphragm. So yeah, the Czech CM4 has a voice diaphragm like the M15. It's got like the American style one, because again, they ripped it off of the M17. It's got that in like the nose area. But yeah, the problem I had with the Czech CM4 is I really like it as a mask, but it's just sadly one of those masks that doesn't fit my face shape very well. So it's, you know, quite annoying because it doesn't matter how tight I make it. There's always a bit of a, like a gap in the seal around where my chin is. I think it's one of those ones, if I put a load of weight on and I got a much fattier chin, it would probably make a good seal. But most of the mask is exactly the right thing, you know, as in like where it lines up with my eyes and all the other bits. So if I got a smaller size, I don't know if it fixed the problem. But that is a thing. Sometimes you can just get masks where your face shape doesn't match the shape of the mask. Because like I was saying, it's like with my Forshida, my Swedish Forshida, that particular mask, that's really good. I barely need to tighten the straps and it almost suction cups to my face because my face is like the exact same shape as the mask mold. Yeah, need more chins than a Chinese phone book. But yeah, but like I said, the problem is with other masks is I sometimes get the ones that no matter how tight I tighten them, there always seems to be little gaps, you know, in certain areas of the mask because it's obviously designed for a slightly different face shape. if I can find it, Overlander, because like I said, this is the problem. I've got so much fucking stuff in terms of gas masks and everything. The ones that rarely get used for videos get put into storage crates, and then they get stacked up in a pile of storage crates. So that's the problem, that obviously the stuff that people really commonly ask me to do videos on, I keep out of storage, you know, like where it's just behind me or whatever else in a massive pile that looks really messy. But the stuff that I actually pack away neatly, the problem is, because I don't put a label on the outside of every box listing exactly what's in it, when I have to look for something, it's often a case of getting boxes down one by one, opening them, looking through them, putting them to the side, and, you know, carrying on till I find the exact thing I'm looking for. So yeah, unfortunately, unless I bump into that scuba mask, the answer is no. So while I know I still own it, I know it's not anywhere convenient. So it's probably in a pile of storage boxes in a shed, in all honesty, or in the attic or somewhere else, that it's not going to be handy because it's not something I'd ever really make use of. So yeah, sorry about that, but that's the honest answer to that. I don't know which fucking storage box it's in. I'm sure it's in a storage box, and I'm sure it's, you know, in very good condition in a water and airtight box, but yeah, like I said, that's the thing, is some of the stuff now I do actually put labels on what's in the storage box, especially if it's stuff I'm going to need to get access to more often. But yeah, the stuff like that where I did some videos on it and then thought, nah, I'm not going to do any more videos on that in ages. That will be the stuff that's at the really low priority, you know, like deep storage, if you like. Because yeah, some of the stuff I've more recently put away, I have actually got into the habit of like putting masking tape on and then writing in felt pen on the masking tape exactly what's in the box. You know, or I might say American gas masks, you know, and then only put American gas masks in one box, you know, and maybe some other little misc things to fill up some of the little empty bits of space to make use of the, you know, square size of the box storage. But yeah, that's the main problem I've got, is because I've got so much stuff that it's generally only if I'm deep cleaning somewhere and then I get curious and start going through, or again, there's something I really need to get my hands on, and then I'm going through everything and then find other stuff in the process. But yeah, especially with it coming up to Christmas and needing to clear shit up, so the house looks better for when relatives are around, I'm definitely not getting stuff out of deep storage to start opening up crates at this time of year. Again, in the new year, that's the kind of thing I might do, but yeah. I won't be on too much longer, by the way, because don't forget to like the stream if people haven't liked the stream. All right, D&D 8538. But yeah, just because today, like I said, I was streaming a bit later today and I'm up early tomorrow morning. But if people haven't voted yet in the thing I did on my channel page, have a look at the thing and vote in it, because like I said, I've done a thing on, you know, the most convenient times for me to do streams for people to watch. All right, Rajiv? So if people could vote on that, that would be good, because what I want to do in about a week's time, when everybody's had a chance to look at it, I want to, you know, ideally try and stream more often, which is at the time most of the people that want to watch streams, it's most convenient for them. But like I said, the problem is obviously that because today's the first day, when I put it on earliest possible time in the day, everybody in the time zones are voting on, you know, the early times. And now as the day's gone on, it's kind of about 33%. So if I honestly look at where my view figures come from for regular videos, I imagine most people will want it to be 9 p.m. because that will be the most suitable time for people in the US, Canada, and people in the evening in the UK. And, you know, probably like, if it's not too late, late people in France and Germany, because they're about an hour ahead of us, aren't they? So I imagine 9 p.m. will probably be the time most people vote for. But like I said, until it's had a few days for everybody to look at it, the results are going to be a bit skewed for now, because it's only going to be, you know, like the people who looked at it so far that have voted. And like I said, when it first went on, everybody was voting for like 12 midday, but that was probably because it was like the Aussies and people like that on at that time of day voting on it. What time is it now in Australia? Let's have a look. 07:32. So yeah, if I was streaming at 9 p.m, at least in bits of Australia, it would be 8 a.m, so they might be able to catch it. So that's not too bad. But again, I know it depends whereabouts you are in Australia, because I think Western and Eastern Australia have different times, don't they? Because of how big Australia is. I suppose New Zealand's a different time as well. Yeah, Rajiv, I'm not going to do that on every single stream, because I'm still going to now and again do them at different times, because I won't always be able to do it at that time. And also because, like I said, it's not a knife. So you played Knifey Spoony before. But I was going to say, yeah, just so now and again people, even if they're in different time zones, get to watch, because it would be really unfair for people if they want to watch and it's then always at a time they can't do. Because I've had that with me personally, that, if people stream on certain days of the week at certain times, there's sometimes no chance I can catch it just because I won't be around or I'd be at work, kind of thing. So yeah, but like I said, but what I want to do is, if most people vote for a certain time, I'd like to try and do most of my streams at that time and then vary it every now and then, as opposed to, whatever. But yeah, what was interesting is where I normally was doing about 5 p.m. most nights for a stream, that is, again, one of the things that isn't the most popular options. Because, again, I suppose some people in the UK are only just about finishing work at that time, so it's not like they've got home to watch a stream. And, again, that's still no good for people in Australia or Asia. And it's probably a bit too early for... Cheers, D&D8538. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I'll click the little heart look for you. There you go. But yeah, it's one of those things where, like I said, you can't please everybody with a time zone. Yeah, I did see what somebody had given it a 1-star review. Again, I've seen people would say it's, I've seen people say it's either really good or really crap. I haven't seen many 3-star reviews for it, but I haven't seen it. I haven't even seen Avatar 1. I've got on Blu-ray and I've never watched it. It came with one of our Blu-ray players. Because like I said, I like old James Cameron, like the Terminator and Aliens. I've just never been inclined to sit down and watch it. I've got more spare time now, so maybe I will. It's just one of those things I never think to do when it's, it's like one of those things where I never think to, I'm going to watch Avatar today. So it's one of those things like now we're talking about it like, oh yeah, I have that on Blu-ray and I've never watched it. But when I'm not doing anything, my brain never goes, you haven't watched Avatar and you've got on Blu-ray, why'd you watch it? No, I've never had any American MREs except the ones the British Army also have that are, like the same as the American MREs. Because if you get them over here, you have to pay a stupid amount of money to get them. As in, people charge like $50 per individual sachet, sort of, for the American ones when they get them over here, even if they're not in date. So I've never had one just because I didn't want to pay outrageous money to try one. It's the sort of thing where if I was in the US, I'd probably go into a US surplus store and buy a load to try. But yeah, the problem is over here is that, like I said, if you very rarely see them for sale, and when people get them for sale, they absolutely scalp the shit out of them on price. So it's one of those things. I've not spent like spending like 40 to 50 pounds or dollars on an expired MRE to try, So I watch a lot of Steve MRE's videos, but yeah, I've never actually tried an American MRE myself. Like I said, I've tried the ones where some of them they make them under license in Britain for the British Army as well. And again, I'd have to look up the full American menu and the full British menu to see which ones are which. Is the SR6 the Turkish version of the S6? If so, it's quite a nice mask other than the lenses. I've never actually used the Turkish version, but the with the British S6, the problem with it is, like I've said before, is I've got this mask here, which isn't an S6. It's a not Turkish, it's Italian. And thank you very much, but for the donation, by the way. But this has the exact same eye lenses as the S6, which kind of give you motion sickness. It's hard to explain. So if the Turkish one uses the same lens design, which I think it does as the British one, it's not a very nice mask for walking around in or moving your head in, because it causes visual distortions as you turn your head. Because you basically have the bit in front of you that's clear, the bit to the side that's clear, but where the lens curves round, it's like a funhouse mirror. And everything you see in that bit of the thing is like a horribly distorted, like weird fisheye effect. So it's one of those masks I absolutely hate wearing. I think they look cool, the S6 and that, but and for as comfortable it is in every other way, the lenses make me go no, because of the fact that you know, it's one of those things. I don't even really get motion sick with most things, but it's like gives you this weird motion blur, motion sickness effect. Didn't Steve get most ill from more modern rations, not even the old stuff? Like things like Chinese or Russian rations or something made him the most ill. Whereas like when he's eaten really old hardtack and that, he's been absolutely fine. But yeah, just so you can maybe see, this is what this lens does. I don't know how easy to see it is on that on the phone camera or not. But the problem with you can probably just see it about there. This is the thing I really hate with the lenses on the S6, is when you get to just the wrong bit of the lens, everything distorts and looks really weird. And like I said, it's as you're walking along with it and moving your head, you will notice that non-stop. And like I said, personally, it gives me like a weird kind of motion sickness, even though I don't get motion sickness when in a car or anything like that. But just the way these lenses work as you walk. And again, like I said, this isn't an S6, my S6 isn't handy. But the lenses on this are basically a clone of the S6's lenses, and they have the exact same problem. Oh, that's fallen on the floor. Oh, I'll pick it up later. But yeah, so that's the issue with that. But again, if you can get an S6 for cheap in Turkey, I'd just go for one, because like I said, it's a cool mask regardless. Yeah, you'd think that, but yeah, saying that's the funny thing. But yeah, I suppose if he had the canned food that was on the Erebus and the Terror, he'd have got really ill, because they got lead poisoning from that, and then they ate each other. Oh, that Terminator game's out as well, isn't it, Rajiv? I did watch some reviews of it. I heard the only problem with it is that you can finish it and then replay it in like a couple of hours and like 100% everything in a couple of hours. So I'd probably get it when it's on sale. Oh, and Kevin, I'm trying to show your message, but typically it won't let me show it. It said, because you said, dude ate a C ration from the Vietnam era and was fine, but one Chinese MRE took him out. The one that's like the 2D Terminator game, Rajiv, where you like, it's kind of like a Contra style game. I'm trying to remember what it's called. But yeah, so your comment, I think YouTube thought where you said C ration, you were saying cunt. I think that's why it censored you. But I can't show the comment because it's not showing up on the PC for me to allow. And on the phone, for some reason, I can never, with the held for review comments, if I do show or hide, it doesn't do anything. It just stays grayed out. Yeah, that's the thing. Like I said, the main reason I wouldn't want to pay full price for it is because when I watched the reviews, people were saying that if you don't die over and over and over, you can beat the game in about 30, 40 minutes. And then even if you do all the like extra content in it, it doesn't take very long. I did get that DLC for the RoboCop game, and I haven't played that yet. What's it called? Unfinished Business for Rogue City, which is meant to be pretty good. Best gas mask. Well, my favourite one's the Avon C50, I said, but that doesn't mean it's the best gas mask. It's just my personal favourite. But the Avon C50 is a nice panoramic lens. You know, takes 40mm filters. The drinking tube thing isn't too bad on it. You can attach a Camelback to the drinking tube system. Now, I've played a lot of Arma 2, the game DayZ originally came from, but I've not actually played much DayZ or DayZ because I never bought the standalone version, and I had lots of issues getting the modded one to run very well. You know, like the one where it was originally a mod and then they made it a standalone game. So yeah, because I've never bought the standalone version, I've never really played it. Because like I said, I've played lots of Arma 2, the game it's made from. And a lot of people don't know that, which is a bit annoying when you start talking about Arma 2 and people are like, that looks like a DayZ ripoff. And you're like, no, DayZ is a mod for Arma 2. But yeah, Arma 2 is still my favourite Arma game until Reforger gets so much content in it. It's like Arma 2. I have no idea what you're on about there, D&D. Is this to do with Avatar? Avatar The Last Airbender or whatever it is? No, I've heard lots of people say Ark Raiders is good, but not tried it. Is it good? Like I said, I've not tried it. I was playing a load of Days Gone earlier, though. Single-player game Days Gone. Because a while ago, I streamed some Days Gone. And it was quite good, but I haven't played it in ages. And then I thought, oh, yeah, I'll play a bit of that, because I haven't played a single-player game in a while. That's, like an actual proper story game, as opposed to just, the sort of games that you waste time on. I was like, oh, yeah, I played quite a few hours of it in a row. Scariest gas mask. Right, out of all of them, all right, other than the Mickey Mouse American mask, because that's fucking horrifying, because, that's a kid's mask that looks horrible. One of the US optical masks, I'd say. Let me look up what they're called and I'll tell you. Because, again, optical masks to me always look the creepiest. I guess because of the tiny little eyepieces on them. Again, the NDO Mark 1 is quite creepy looking, this thing. I think this is one of the Ghost People masks in Fallout New Vegas as well. No, I've never considered getting a paramotor. It looks interesting, but seeing as they seem to cost several £1,000s, then no, I doubt I'd be in the market for that. And also, I'm assuming legally, you have to fly it in licensed airspace and all that bollocks. Yeah, I'll get you a picture of the Mickey Mouse mask if you don't know what it looks like. And again, I'm on about the US Mickey Mouse mask, not the British one, because the British one was just called Mickey Mouse because it looked... actually, it didn't look anything like Mickey Mouse. They just called it Mickey Mouse because of the fact that they wanted, it to be a nicer mask for, like kids to wear. So I think by putting the name Mickey Mouse on it, they went like, oh, kids will want to wear it now. But yeah, this is the fucking Mickey Mouse gas mask, this thing. Where it's got that weird brown color to it. Again, I don't know if that's because it's discolored with age or if it is just literally looks like a burnt Mickey Mouse face. And yeah. So there you go. That's the Mickey Mouse gas mask that Walt Disney came up with. And then, yeah, I can see why it didn't catch on. Yeah, the thought process with both those masks is interesting because, again, it's like gas masks might look scary to kids. So how would you make kids want to wear them more? And, the idea was to give it like a kid's character name. And like the British one was just to make it bright colors. And then like Mickey Mouse is its nickname. I think it's just called something like children's gas mask or, children's respirator would be its proper name. But, everybody over here knew them as the Mickey Mouse mask because that's what they called them. But yeah, the US Mickey Mouse mask was basically... let's get a licensed Disney gas mask. But yeah, again, I think the problem was the cost of making them would have been way too high per mask. And yeah, it's fucking horrifying. It looks less creepy just having a black gas mask or whatever than it does having a mask that tries to resemble the face of a cartoon character or a person. I think the Germans had a creepy optical mask as well. Let me have a look. I can't remember what it's called, though, again, with all of these, because they're like number designations. German optical gas mask. Optische gas mask. Here we go. So, again, the German one's quite creepy. There you go. That's the German one. Hello, this is my optische gas mask. Yeah, I'm saying the Shums is an optical gas mask. It's just a much more modern one. And again, but optical masks always look creepy. It's like if you look up the prototype British S8 gas mask, that's a similar thing. Because the S8 gas mask was halfway between an S6 and an S10. It was like the prototype S10. But it's a freaky fucking looking thing. Because, again, it's because of how small the eyepieces are. So there you go. That's the S8. Again, I've only ever seen one in a museum. I've never seen one for sale or whatever with an S8. That's the PMG. It's kind of like either the Shums or the PMG. It's kind of halfway between each. The Metro Cop mask. In Half-Life 1, the Marines have M40s. They're just not quite modelled correctly. But yeah, in Half-Life 2, the Metro Cops have a mask that looks kind of somewhere between a Shums and a PMG. In the concept art, the Metro Cops did have PMGs, so they obviously based it off of the PMG. But the actual mask in practice, how it's laid out in the game, where it's got like a filtery looking bit here and a filter there, or maybe one of them's meant to be a voice diaphragm and the other a filter, is set up more like a Shums. But yeah, again, I think optical masks are just creepy because they've got the small eyepieces. Because it's like, again, panoramic masks I don't think look creepy in the slightest. Because the panoramic mask has obviously got the big, you know, like big kind of widescreen eye lens. Oh yeah, here's a picture of all of the British masks next to each other. Not all of the British masks, but a lot of them. So going from right to left, PH gas hood, Mark 4 or 5 respirator, general service respirator. I think probably a Mark 4 because it appears lighter in colour. 2 models of light anti-gas respirator, the S6, the S8, and then the S10 in that particular picture. But yeah, the S8 is definitely, to me, the freaky looking one because of its weird little eyes. Don't like it. Yeah, I don't know. It's just with gas masks, the smaller the eyes are, the creepier they look to me. Whereas the ones with the big, like I said, panoramic masks don't look creepy at all. GP5 online, probably eBay or Etsy. Just don't breathe through a GP5 filter, but GP5s are very, very easy to find online. Although now I think some of the masks being sold as GP5s aren't actually GP5s. They're other communist block masks of a very similar design, whereas it used to be the GP5 was the cheapest, most available one. But yeah, Etsy or eBay. At one point, you could buy them on fucking Amazon Prime GP5 masks, as in Amazon had like a supplier that would sell them through Amazon on Prime in the UK, so you could get them on next day delivery. Yeah, although, but with D&D, with World War II, every nation basically thought that terror bombing of civilians of gas would happen. And it did to the Chinese. The Japanese did it to the Chinese. But yeah, like, thankfully in World War II, say, Germany didn't drop gas on Britain and Britain then didn't retaliate with gas, you know, back. Yeah, I've heard from Hype Gamma Scott that some of them have different voices. But yeah, like I said, because I've heard as well on some of the models, you can change the voice between micro sieverts and Rontgen, where on mine you can't, even if you open the dev menu by, you know, knowing a button combination or whatever you have to press and putting that password in to get the dev menu up. On mine, you still can't change the voice on it. You can only have it in that setting. Yeah. I quite like this little counter. I mean, it's very, very basic, but as just a basic counter, it's quite nice. She's Russian, of course she's depressed. Maybe her son's been converted into a larder, or she's been told she's not getting a larder for her son, but instead a bag of Cheetos. The only thing I don't like with this is just how crap the backlight is, because there is a backlight on it. It's just so dim. You have to basically be in almost pitch black, and then it's still... Yeah, although I'm wondering with these how much of them is actually when Radiocode, like Radioscan and Radiocode left Russia, how much of it is kind of their stuff that was just used. Because again, it's not identical, but how it's set up is basically the exact same layout of, you know, like where the pancake little probe is. And I don't know, I was going to do that on my watch, but that's not going to pick anything up because I don't blame a self-service checkout for being depressed because everybody hates them. Because, you know, you don't get real staff if you've got the self-service checkout. Yeah, Radioscan is more user-friendly. And like I said, the company is actually good because the people that made Radiocode and Radioscan moved to, was it Cyprus or Malta? It was one of the two. With most of their families and that because of Monkey and his special military operation. With a GP5, you can't put NATO filters on it. You'll have to buy Chinese filters if you want modern filters to go on it. Yeah, like I said, Kevin, I like the C50 just because it's the exact same face piece as the M50, but it takes 40mm filters, not proprietary ones. Cyprus, it was Cyprus, was it? But yeah, let me just have a quick look on AliExpress for you and see if I can find one of the Ghost filters. Basically, you can probably get them on eBay as well. You just need to buy like the Chinese style military filters. RD40. This one specifically says RD40, which means Ghost. Right, let me see if I can just make an affiliate link out of this moment, because it will actually shorten the link as well, without me having to manually delete loads of it. And then if you do buy it, it gives me a bit of money. Probably like 10p, probably not very much at all, but hang on. Page URL, get tracking link. Right, here you go, copy. Don't copy that floppy. Right, that one says it's RD40, and I would personally believe it is, because a lot of Chinese filters are still Ghost. And again, if this is for a lot of Chinese masks, then a lot of Chinese masks are still Ghost. Basically, China is weird with their masks because of the fact that somebody said 1 star never arrived and no money back. Well, you can get money back on AliExpress because you say it never arrived, but whatever. The other person said 5 stars, so I don't know. Can you wear a gas mask? I was earlier in the stream twice, and I'm going off in a minute. Fine, I'll wear the shums again just for a bit before I go off. My face that ugly that you're constantly saying, wear a fucking gas mask and hide your face. But like I said, the problem is this room gets really hot in the evenings because of in the winter, all the heating's on. Even if I turn the radiator down, it still gives off a bit of heat. Computer's belching out heat. Putting the lights on for YouTube so it looks better on the stream gives out heat. There you go, Conrad. I have put the mask on. I put the mask on the face and put so I don't get the hose again. Uranium glass, yes, and this one can pick it up. Let me get the uranium glass before I go off, because I've got some quite pretty uranium glass I got recently. I don't have a UV torch on me at the moment, so I can't show it you with UV light. And there you go, that's got a radio code in it, look. Big uranium glass goblet. And yeah, this does actually pick it up a bit. So yeah, that actually went to over 1 microsievert, so it's quite spicy for uranium glass. Yeah, 1.1 microsievert. I'll have a look in a moment, Kevin. And if I haven't tested this yet with a mesow, so I do want to test it with a mesow and see what that says. Hang on. This is saying about 3.3 for gamma. Let's try with the pin diode open and try it on the pin diode if I can get it close enough to that. It's actually hard to get this onto the pin diode detector because of the shape of it. So yeah, I basically can only pick this up with the gamma mode. Like I said, the radio code's good because you can actually pop it inside. Oh, have I got the speaker off on that? Hang on. and that's saying about 1.5 microsievert. Oh, sorry, it's on K count, 1,000 counts per minute. On microsieverts, this goes to about 0.3. So yeah, they're both pretty similar. This gets to about almost 0.3 as well. Yeah, 0.31. Right, I'll just finish off reading. Oh yeah, I had a helmet on, didn't I? When I did that. Whoops. Right, I'll just finish reading the comments. And then I will head off. So I will try and answer any questions I missed. And with that nice glass, I want to put that back, you know, where it was, so I don't damage it. Because one of my other uranium glass things got broken eventually because it kept getting put down on places that weren't, you know, like a proper thing, and then eventually it just got knocked. Right, let's try this cheap, crappy Chinese Geiger counter light, which is saying no battery, which seems weird because I fully charged this at one point. But that's probably because it has a really shit internal battery. Right. Does my watt talk when I press the button? Sorry. Gamma Scott. Anyway, you can wear a gas mask with 2 filter cartridges. I know you can. I don't have any handy of 2 filter cartridges on. Actually, I think my Japanese one with 2 filter cartridges actually behind me somewhere, but yeah, it is a nice glass D&D. And wasn't there a thing that where are you 76 then? Because in the US, I thought GMCs were made in the US. Oh yeah, I was going to look at the Potomac gas mask, wasn't I? The Potomac gas mask. Oh yeah, I have seen that thing before. I've not done a video on it personally, but I've done a video on the Avon escape hood, which is pretty similar to that, and that nearly killed me because for whatever reason the carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide kept building up and up in it and not releasing. But yeah, the Potomac one is kind of goofy looking. It looks kind of like a minion from Despicable Me or whatever the minions are from. So yeah. Yeah, you can get nuclear industry ones, D&D, which are designed for, I think it's both radon gas and the other kind of gas, iodine gas. So you can get ones known as reactor cartridges, which is specifically for like nuclear reactor use. But like I said, they're like very specialist things. For normal fallout, you just need a particle filter. They do sell 76 in the you can buy GMCs over here pretty easily. I've actually put the other firmware on this GMC, the Rad Pro one, and I don't like it as much as the original GMC software that was on here. So that's the only annoying thing with that. But in terms of seeing if this can pick up the uranium glass, probably will a little bit. Yeah, picks it up a little bit on this one, but like I said, obviously one with an alpha probe is going to pick this up the easiest. You've already said you can wear a gas mask with 2 filter cartridges. Anyway, I'm going to be off because, like I said, I've been on about an hour and I need to get up early in the morning, so I'm going to go off to bed quite soon. So have a good evening, everybody. I'll try and do a stream if I get time tomorrow. If not, I've already got a video scheduled for tomorrow. So you'll see that. Actually, just in terms of the gamma coming off of it, I'm just quite interested with this. All right, let's see if this still works after I did my little repair job to it. Just hold rate down, don't I, to turn the speaker on. There we go. There we go. Right, that's ticking now. Does that pick anything up off of there? Yeah, I think that's slightly higher than background with the mini rad, but so this is very insensitive. This is designed just for can hear it picking up the aircraft dial that's on that shelf there. Picks that up very easily. But yeah, this is more for X-rays and gamma rays, this one. But yeah, I did manage to repair this at least, because yeah, it turned out what broke with this wasn't the GM tube in it. When I said to other people it was the really, really shitty soldering job, whoever made it in whichever US factory did it. So, you know, the joke was Juan from over the border probably didn't do a very good job with the soldering iron, sir. Okay, and then I'm going to get done for racism now, aren't I, towards Mexicans, even though we don't get Mexicans in the UK. Works are very cheap. Gonna have to build a wall and kick them out. And apparently, Trump did some really deranged speech before I go off. I haven't listened to it yet, but everybody I know was speaking about Trump's crazy speech he did the other day. So I'm gonna have to listen to it, I guess. But yeah. Anyway, have a good evening, everybody. And yeah, annoyingly, I did say about this the other day, the particular Forensi GCO one I have isn't one that you can update the firmware on. It's for whatever reason, like the older model, that you can't update the firmware, so I wasn't able to put Rad Pro on this. Yeah, I will do a video as well when my other Chinese Geiger comes, of comparing all the cheapo Chinese Geigers and seeing if any of them are any good. You know, because like the more expensive Chinese meters like this are very good, but I mean out of like the cheap shitty ones, you know, are any of them worth $50? I've got shitloads of other gas masks. You should know this if you look to my channel. Oh yeah, you're going to invade Venezuela. You need the oil. Nobody's stolen oil ships like Trump, so you're going to steal Venezuela's oil. Yeah. Anyway, have a good evening. I'm going to be off. I'm going to put the So this needs to be charged up again, because this Chinese one, I guess, has a shitty internal battery that discharges when it's not in use. So I'll turn that off for now. It says goodbye at least. Goodbye. I thought it was Agent Orange that kept him orange. But yeah, and then hopefully I might get a chance to do a stream tomorrow. But at the moment, like I said, because I'm volunteering tomorrow and doing some stuff during the day, certainly won't do a stream early in the day. It's just if I get a chance to do one in the evening, I'll do a stream in the evening tomorrow. If not, then I will see everybody, you know, not with a stream tomorrow. I'll do a stream Saturday. But, you know, if not, then you'll just see a regular video tomorrow, because I've already got a video scheduled for tomorrow. So regardless, there's a video tomorrow. But like I said, the stream I may or may not get a chance to do. Depends on timing. Anyway, don't forget to vote in the poll I did on my channel about what the best times of day it is for various people. The person that keeps saying stupid questions, I'm just getting rid of now, because I've answered you loads of times and you're ignoring my answers. So yeah, the question, like saying the question is, what time of day is best for me to stream at for people? So don't forget to vote in that, because that's useful information for me when I plan streams. And yeah, I'll do a stream at some point tomorrow if I get a chance. If not, there'll be a stream regardless on Saturday. So if I do a stream tomorrow, there'll still be a stream Saturday. If I don't get a chance, you know, to do a stream tomorrow, there'll still be a stream on Saturday. But yeah, don't forget to answer the poll, because it's got, you know, click the actual answers in the poll. There's a poll on my channel with multiple choice. So it's in GMT. You have to answer the question in GMT, so translate it to your time zone, and then click the best one for you. And then that helps me plan them. But yeah, vote on the thing, because it means that I get the answers saved onto a poll, and other people can see it, so they know that I'm not rigging it and then just ignoring what people have voted for. Anyway, have a good evening, everybody. Don't forget to like the stream on the way out. Thanks to anybody that donated, and hopefully I'll see you on the stream tomorrow.